Political is a ubiquitous and seemingly indispensable term in discussion of human affairs. We use it to speak of quite different kinds of things: institutions, actions, conflicts, expenditures, a type of discourse, a branch of science, and such. The word political came from a Latin word politicus, which means politics and citizens, and the word polis also from the Latin word which means that is, as cities. Political self refers to how an individual engages himself to political issues and has prejudice and knows how to be involved in a healthy discourse without showing fallacies. The meaning of political self is a public identity that one makes and constructs him or herself. Social organization is basically how we relate ourselves within our environment, institutions, or subgroups. These are religion, race, nationality, gender identity, language, culture, ethnicity, or any kind of socializing outside of ourselves. Our social surrounding is shaped by political forces such as national policies, political trends, and economic decisions. It means that hindi lang tayo ang inimold ng environment natin but also na-form din natin ang ating social surroundings sa pamamagitan ng pamamahala ng gobyerno sa ating bansa. Binibigyan tayo ng idea na kung ano ang katanggap-tanggap at ano ang hindi dahil doon, nagkakaroon tayo ng uniform understanding sa isang bagay at nag-act tayo according sa kung ano ang tama sa nakakarami. First, political orientation. We tend to prefer groups based on our preferences, ideals, and interests. We want our perception of our social surrounding to be aligned with our sense of self. Example, hindi ka nag-agree sa political opinion ng isang tao. Syempre, the tendency magkakaroon ng misunderstanding. Lalong-lalo na kung nilatagan mo siya ng mga facts or information na dapat ikakayanin niya pero binabaliwala niya para syempre pipili na nakakasalamuhan na talagang makakasundo mo. Next is the political ideas. It is our organized set of beliefs regarding social behaviors within our political environment. Last is the political attitude behaviors, related to one's moral reasoning. In other words, it is a mental or emotional set with which individual approaches a political problem and which determines his or her line of conduct towards that problem. The factors that affect the political self. There are three factors, namely individual factors, institutional factors, and community factors. Under individual factor, there is attitudes and values. The first one is presence of dualism. This highlights the contradiction between self-interest and the good of the community. The next one is the attitude change. This is due to the events that swept the nation and due to involvement in service-oriented activities. Mudako ang responsibility nato which will lead sa pagbago sa pananaw sa politics. Entering the life of politics is a life-changing moment. Every decision you make will affect everyone or the people you handle. Every announcement you say, there will be a lot who will react na pwedeng mag-agree or disagree. Every more you make, daghang makinabang. Example is a corruption wherein personal interest versus the good of the people of the community. For example, a barangay officer values a printing machine or ink for personal use, like gamito ng anak niya para sa school, or sa trabaho, or sa business, which is called a simple corruption. So let's move on to the next factor, which is institutional factor. The first one is family. Children are taught the basic human values of honesty, love, discipline, and respect, but the notion of community is confined to the family and the concept of public good tends to be left out of family values. So the basic unit of community is a family. As we all know, ang family ang humuhubog sa ating views, beliefs, behavior, and personality, like kinsay iboto, unsay atong tan-aw sa usa ka specific politician, and sometimes we are also influenced by our family of who we vote on the election. Usahay gani, ang nagpuyo sa inyong house kay giusa ra ang pagboto sa politiko, di ba? Next is school. School plays the role of teaching nationhood and its associated value. Next is church. The basic function of church is to be involved in every facet of the life of the believer. Christ looked at the needs of the people, provided it, and then began to preach out good deeds. Diba? Giingon na dili pwede iuban ang perspective of the church and the government. There are decisions of the government that are not allowed the church perspectives. For example, the divorce, wherein the religion is against it. Next is media, which provides the venue for the discussion of issues and exposing anomalies in the conduct of public affairs. So we all know naman na through the media, we got the chance to have access to information even from the distant places. It has been part of our lives where it helps us to be socially aware of what is happening around us, just like politics. So let's move on to the last factor, which is community factor. The degree or lack of identification with the nation depends, among others, on the type of community to which one belongs and the extent to which it is served by or benefits from instruments of the state.
Who are Filipinos? Filipinos are people who are native or citizen here at the Philippines. According to the 1987 Philippine Constitution, Filipino citizens are those whose fathers or mothers are citizens of the Philippines. Those born before January 17, 1973, of Filipino mothers who elect Philippine citizenship upon reaching the age of majority, and those who are naturalized in accordance with the law. However, citizenship is not the only marker of being a Filipino. Culture and history have greatly influenced in the manner Filipinos learn, live, and behave today. People who were born and grew up in the same culture develop and share common personality traits and values. Generations after generations, common traits and values have been passed on that the Filipinos of today still embody. Filipino values and traits. The Philippines is a lush island paradise famous for its grandiose mountain views, pristine beaches, and rich and diverse culture changing from province to province. While the Philippines may be well known for its awe-inspiring beauty, perhaps the Filipinos' unique traits, reputable values, and laudable talents make the country a place to be. The Filipino hospitality. A Filipino trait that is known everywhere is the Filipinos' brand of hospitality. Filipinos welcome their guests and tourists as if they are their own brothers and sisters. They always make their guests feel at home, offering them something to eat or even a place to stay. They will bring out their best sets of plates and chinaware for their honored guests and would even go as far as spending a lot of money and going into debt just so they can satisfy them. For example, in most local shops, Filipino salespersons will greet their customers with a warm welcome and say thank you when they leave even without buying anything. Filipinos also anticipate giving tours to friends who will visit their hometown and treating them to the best restaurants and delicacies for free. During festivals or festas, Filipinos serves heaps of festive food and invite the whole barangay over. They are also fond of giving pasalubong or tokens from their travels and pabaon or farewell gifts to their visitors. Respect elders. Filipinos greet their elders by kissing their hand while saying mano po and constantly using po and opo in conversations. Forgetting to address older people properly will regard them as rude and impolite. Family ties. Filipinos maintain a tight relationship with their families regardless if the children are old enough and already have families reunions during birthdays, holidays, or festas year around. Cheerful personality. Filipinos have a habit of smiling and laughing a lot. They smile when they are happy or sometimes even when they are sad or angry. Self sacrifice. The self sacrificing attitude of Filipinos can be seen as an extension of the Filipino hospitality. Filipinos go out of their way to extend help to their friends, families, and loved ones. They wish comfort and better lives for their loved ones and would even go to the extent of working abroad hundreds of miles away to earn more money and save up for them. Bayanihan. It is a spirit of communal unity and cooperation of Filipinos. It is also about giving without expecting something in return. Filipinos are always ready to share and help their friends and loved ones who are in need. It may not always be in a monetary form, but the time and effort they give also count as a form of help for them. This trait is particularly manifested in how Filipinos rally themselves to send aid to those who are severely affected by natural calamities. Colonial mentality. It is regarded as the lack of patriotism and the attitude where Filipinos favor foreign products more than their own. Mahanya habit. This is the Filipino term for procrastination. It was derived from a longer Filipino phrase called mamayana, meaning dawdling things, which could have been done at an earlier time. Ningas kugon. Ningas is a Filipino term for flame, and kugon is a Filipino term for kugon grass that easily burns out after it is put into flames. Just like how fast the fire of kugon grass burns out moments after being ignited, laziness is a common problem among Filipinos. That is why Filipinos are regarded as one tamad or lazy one. Pride. Most Filipinos hold onto their pride as if they are more precious than keeping a good relationship with family and loved ones. Crowd mentality. This is a toxic among Filipinos where one resents the achievements of another instead of feeling happy for that person. Just like crabs in a container, they pull each other down and ruin each other's reputation rather than bringing them up, resulting in no progress. Filipinos should change this troublesome attitude and focus more in their own inadequacies to improve oneself. Filipino time. Filipinos have this common attitude of arriving late at commitments, dinner, or parties, especially if they are meeting someone close to them. They tend to not observe punctually altogether. For example, the 7 a.m. call time becomes adjusted to 7:30 a.m. and almost everyone arrives at the same time because everyone is using Filipino time. Bahala na attitude. Bahala na is the Filipino version of the famous line Hakuna Matata, meaning no worries. The phrase is said to have originated from Bathalana, where Bathala means God, and the phrase means leaving everything into God's hands. It can also be viewed as something similar to the cheerful and positive attitude of Filipinos, and allowing situations to take care of themselves instead of worrying about them.
Filipino Markers. What then are the hallmarks of our being a Filipino? What makes us truly relish in our being a Filipino? The following are constant reminders of our nationality. Proverbs or Salawikain. Damiana Eugenio, regarded as the mother of Philippine folklore, classified Proverbs into 6 categories. Eugenio 2000. First one is Proverbs expressing a general attitude toward life and the laws that govern life. Second one is ethical proverbs recommending certain virtues and condemning certain vices. Third one is Proverbs expressing a system of values. And the fourth one is Proverbs expressing general truths and observations about life and human nature. The next one is humorous proverbs, and the last one is miscellaneous proverbs. Filipino proverbs, just like any other proverbs, are sayings that convey lessons and reflections on Filipino practices, beliefs, and traditions. An example of Filipino proverbs is the saying, "Kung may tiyaga, may nilaga," which means that hard work will be rewarded if one is persistent. The second marker is superstitions. Filipinos also subscribe to their own set of superstitions passed down from generation to generation. Some of these may be influenced by beliefs from other cultures, but Filipinos have retold these superstitions according to their own experiences, and they sometimes end up even more interesting. According to a Filipino superstition, a woman singing while cooking will end up a spinster. So parents remind their daughters to avoid singing while preparing their meals. Filipinos also avoid taking pictures in trees, as the one center is said to die, according to another superstition. Hero serves as a reminder of the true patriotism and nationalism, as they have sacrificed their lives for the sake of their country's freedom and progress. Every year, we lend a whole day to celebrate our heroes, usually the last Monday of August, to remember the greatness, bravery, and resilience that has led to the freedom we know today. Famous Filipino icons such as Lea Salonga, Manny Pacquiao, and our very own national hero, Jose Rizal, also serve as important Filipino markers, as they made the Filipino name more pronounced worldwide through their own expertise. Myth and legends. Due to the Philippines' rich culture and history, numerous myths and legends have sprung about things that are beyond one's imagination. These stories are aimed to explain the origin of things, at the same time teach a valuable lesson. Some of these stories we know today. A famous Filipino legend is about the origin of the pineapple fruit. It is about the story of young and lazy girl named Pina, who always asked where her mother kept the things she needed, without looking for them first. When Pina's mother got tired of being asked where she hid her things, her mother wished that the eyes be planted on Pina's face so she would start using them. To her mother's surprise, the next morning, Pina was gone and the fruit sprung in the yard, implanted with eyes all around its body, which was later called piña, the Filipino terms for pineapple.
Now that your traits and values are important indicators of being a Filipino, the problem now is how to truly become one and how you can be useful to the development and progress of our country. The following are few ways on how to be a good Filipino. A good Filipino citizen is aware of the current events and participate in government by simply exercising
your rights to vote. You also become an active citizen. When it comes to voting, the rich and the poor have equal voting rights. Every Filipino citizen of legal age have a chance in choosing the right leader of the Philippines who are genuine in helping and caring for the Filipino people. The road of the Philippine history is long and bloody. By learning and fully understanding the events of the Philippine history, you will learn so much as to why it is so important for you to love your country with your life. Extend help to your fellow Filipinos in need, and recognize abuse of political power. When you buy local products, you do not only support local manufacturers and businessmen, but you also help strengthen the local economy. How is this so? There will be more demand of local products, thus, local businesses will be in need for more employees, which will open new job opportunities. The business owners will also invest within the country and are less likely to leave. Supporting our local products also displays our creativity, innovativeness, and resourcefulness. The history of the Filipino language was as long and hard as the Philippine history. Jose Rizal highlighted the importance of speaking a national language as a way of disciplining the love for one's country. Speaking Filipino also serves as a unique identifier of being a Filipino. It has been a decade-long debate whether to use Filipino as the instructional language in school and to translate textbooks into Filipino. However, this is still not strictly imposed. This period in the history of the Philippines has seen how the internet has spawned tons of possibilities for people, both good and bad. For instance, it is easier for Filipinos working abroad to communicate with their loved ones left in the Philippines through the internet. Despite this, the internet has also made the spread of fake news very common. Likewise, the internet has also made us engage in intense arguments with people across the globe about our political positions, for example. It is a part of being a good Filipino to understand and verify what you read online, especially in social media, before actually believing in it and spreading it like wildfire. It is also the responsibility of every Filipino to recognize disagreement in political views, be tolerant, and argue intelligently without having to resort into name calling.